army of one. I was going to go over there and take out as many bad guys as I could before they took me out. I had no intention on coming out.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jay Lee with Move, and today I'm here with a great friend, my friend here, Eddie here. This is my guy from First Baptist of Umatilla.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be here?
It's an honor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. First, before we get started, I want to thank G2 for sponsoring this video. Without him at all, we wouldn't have any of this. So really big thanks to him and gratefully what he's done and his heart, honestly. He's a great person. So yeah, Eddie, so tell me about yourself, man. What was your childhood like?
Childhood. So I'm the oldest of four. I was born in the mid 80s. So I grew up in the 90s. My parents did the best they could. I feel like I was raised by the last generation of hard men. It was a do what I say or else. And you didn't want to find out what else was. I don't feel like it was done in malice. I feel like that's how he was raised, and you know the phrase hurt people. So and I was a spaz, man. I had so much energy. I was that kid in class that would constantly talk or crack jokes, or I equate my mind to a beehive, and each thought is a bee buzzing around, and it's just like squirrel. So I didn't know how to control that. So I was a handful. I got kicked out of a few daycares because I wouldn't nap and I'd wake up other kids. They started putting me on Adderall, Ritalin real early. Didn't like that at all. Then I had a sister. She came along. She was my best friend for a real long time. It was like my road dog. Took her everywhere with me. Somewhere along the line, I don't know where, a wedge was put between us, and I don't think we've ever really still recovered. I tried to reach out to her whenever, but there's a lot of negativity. Just put it that way. I love her, but I love my family from afar, unfortunately. Yeah. Growing up, I'm from the Northeast, so Philadelphia, New Jersey area. I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood. I was one of the only white kids that went to school there.
How was that?
It was a rough paper route.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
So, you know, I got jumped by the same 8 kids every single day from like 1st grade to 4th grade until I learned how to defend myself. And then they kind of left me alone. Kindergarten at that school, I was molested for my kindergarten year. Then they pulled me out of that school and started sending me to Catholic school. So I did 1st through 4th grade in Catholic school. So altar boy, you name it. And you know, I had some questions that, you know, 8 or 9, 10-year-old kid, like, wow, you're actually pondering that? Like, that's crazy. And you know, instead of the priest telling me, hey, we're not talking about that right now, or I'll get back to you with a you know, biblical answer, that would have sufficed for me. But instead, and I've been told that I need to make peace with this, but he told me to shut up and believe.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm a young developing mind. It's inquisitive, but I felt like if you're putting stock into this and your faith into this, and you expect me to do the same, you should be able to answer a simple question, especially from a child.
Right.
But that's not what happened, and it kind of put a sour taste in my mouth for a real long time about religion. I never forsake God. I believe in him. I appreciate him. But organized religion for a long time, I just felt like it was a tool to control me.
Right.
All right. So needless to say, after I left that Catholic school, that was pretty much it for church. Nobody in my family is spiritual. I pray that my father wasn't giving me lip service before he died, that he really did accept Christ, but well, only he knows. God knows.
Right.
It's funny. FBC is a big church, right?
It's a huge church.
And there's a gentleman that comes in every so often, and he looks just like my dad.
Wow.
So much
No
like
way.
my dad. And every time I see him, I want to cry.
Really?
It's like he was a hard man. Like he ain't play no games, but he raised me right. He gave me a good work ethic. He told me that there's nothing in life that is just going to get given to you. Only a fool's going to sit around and wait for another man to feed him. So if you want something, you go work for it.
Right.
And if you do something, you do it right. You do it right the first time. Have integrity.
Heard that before.
Because you can't get that back once you lose it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was a wild child. I as an adolescent, got in a lot of trouble. Started trying to straighten up. Was going to go into the Marines. And these two guys picked me up. They had plans to make to rob a pizza boy.
Oh, no.
So I got out of the car because I thought that was the right thing to do, but I didn't call the police. So they went through with it, didn't get caught right away, got caught later on. One told on the other, mentioned my name. Then they went and grabbed the other guy. He told on the other guy, mentioned my name. And then they came for me. And like an idiot, I spoke to the police without an attorney present. And I admitted to knowing them and to even being with them that night. But I told them as soon as they started talking about that crazy stuff, I got out of the car. That's all I know. That's all I can tell you. That was my statement. And that was good enough to get me 5 years in prison. So got a 2.5 to 5. Ended up doing the full 5. They granted me parole, but then just kept denying all of my home plans for one reason or another. And they put me on an emotional roller coaster every single time. I think I'm going home. Yay. No. So, my time in there, I was angry. I didn't feel like I deserved to be there. I mean, granted, in my life, I've made mistakes that I got away with. And if I would have gotten caught, I would have been in just as much trouble, if not more. So I'm grateful. I know I've changed my life, so I don't have to worry
right.
any of that
go
coming.
back. Yeah.
No. So, but my first 2 years in prison were really, really dark. I mean, once you step foot in there, you've got a choice to make. Are you going to be wolf or are you going to be food? If anybody comes at you some type of way, I mean, you need to go hard and right away. Because if you allow it to happen one time, just one time, you are now food for the entire stay.
Right.
People are going to see you as an easy, I'm going to get over on this guy. So got in a lot of fights. Didn't have anybody visiting me, nobody writing. Basically, you got yourself in that situation, get yourself out. And I had family that could throw a rock at the jail from my house.
Oh, they were that close.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it was like, oh my gosh. And then about 2 years in, I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of just blaming other people. I started accepting responsibility. Like, hey, nobody told me to go get drunk that night. Nobody told me to call those guys. I did that. So I started accepting responsibility for my actions. Stopped making excuses. But I was still angry that I'm sitting in jail, obviously.
Right.
But I kept seeing these guys come back from these Bible services. And they're all smiling and laughing. I'm like, what could you possibly have to be happy about in here? Don't you know where you're at?
Right.
And they're like, oh man, your circumstance shouldn't dictate what joy you have in your heart. You know what I mean? Like, you need to come down and check out a service. So I ended up going down. It was 2 years to the date of me being in there. Um, Went down to a church service, and the men's choir was singing, and they were singing "Word of God Speak." I'm listening to the music, and there's a Bible sitting on the pew. I pick it up, just open it to a random page. My eyes fall on Psalms 34, verse 6. And the man cried out to God, and he saved him from all of his troubles. And then it felt like I had, it felt like my dad was giving me a hug, even though it's not my eternal father was giving me a hug, saying, "I got you. Like, I've had you this whole time." The grace of God's not going to take you anywhere that the will of God, the will of God will not take you anywhere that the grace of God cannot follow. Right. So, he protected me the entire time that I was in there. I mean, I've gotten into some scuffles, but I'm still here, still breathing. I was shanked up in my sides and whatnot. I got scars that look like, if you ever seen The Passion of Christ, when he got hit with that flogger, that's what my sides look like.
Wow.
And you don't want wounds like that in prison.
Right.
Staph infection, all the rest of that. If they see those, you're automatically in trouble because you're in an altercation. So, but I accepted Christ, started doing Bible studies and reading the Word a little bit. And since I didn't have anybody really writing me or visiting me or sending money on the books, I had to figure out a way to make money while I was in there.
Right.
I would file motions for people, write letters. I was cleaning cells, but an older guy was like, "Stop doing that. You don't want to be that dude."
Yeah.
So I was like, "All right, cool." I'd make pop out cards for people and stuff like that, or these paper roses that I'd paint up. You could send them through the mail. And then I started noticing this dude having bags of commissary brought to him. I was like, "What is he doing? Like, I need to be doing that."
Right.
And he was doing tattoos. So I started picking up tattoos. And I'm pretty much covered in them. And then I'd say about 2.5 years into my sentence, a guy came up and he wanted a tattoo done. This guy was a little bit softer, not really built for jail. I'm not saying I'm proud that I was able to hint that. I'm not glorifying that in the least, but
there's different levels.
Different levels, exactly. Yeah. Someone broke into his cell and stole all of his stuff. I got his stuff back for him, everything but a jar of peanut butter. And I was like, "Listen, I got you everything but a jar of peanut butter back. If you want that jar of peanut butter, you can call out whoever stole it. You can go with them, whatever." But he was appreciative. And with the commissary I got back from him, he was trying to pay for a tattoo. I told him, "Listen, man, you give me a pen pal and you don't have to pay for this tattoo." And he was like, "I think I could do that." I told him they don't need to visit me. They don't need to send money. I just want to write somebody care about how I'm doing. I hear everybody else's name getting called for mail and whatnot. So he talked to his girlfriend. His girlfriend talked to my now wife. She looked me up, just make sure certain charges weren't passed down on me. And we wrote for 2.5 years. We still have our letters back and forth to this day. And 6 months, I got out November 1st, 2013. We started dating that day. 6 months later, we got married. We've been married for over 10 years now. I have an 8-year-old daughter. And my life is unrecognizable to what it once was. I'm not running around drinking and smoking, and I do celebrate recovery. I was doing NA and AA, which it's a good program by any means, but what I didn't like about those programs was, I've got more problems than just alcohol or a substance. I've got hurts. I've got hang-ups. I've got all kinds of problems wrong with me, right? So if you talk about an outside issue at AA and say, hey man, today I was stressed out, I felt like smoking a joint.
Right.
They'd be like, no, I don't want to hear about that. It's not alcohol related. With CR, it's a Christian, biblically based recovery program. Whatever your hurt, hang up, or habit is, you bring it to the foot of the cross, give it to Jesus, and walk away.
Absolutely.
So that's been really good, because it doesn't really matter what's bothering me at this point in time. I know when I go on Thursday nights that I can talk about it. And there are other people experiencing it, and we're all getting over it the same way through Christ.
Yep. Everybody's in the same boat.
I feel like at some point I was thinking about what Christ went through for me. Why would he do that for me? Because I didn't have a high. To other people, I would have a bravado. I would have a high opinion of myself. But if you were in my own head, the opinion of myself isn't as high as I would have others to think it would be. Just felt like a filthy rag. You know what I mean? And Jesus was spat on. They plucked his beard. He was scourged. He was mocked. They stole his clothes. They hung him on a cross. And I want to live a life now. I know I'm going to screw up. I mean, we're all sinners. I mean, we missed the mark. That's why we need Christ. But I want to make it my personal responsibility to not add any more lashes or any more beard plucks or any more of that to him from me, put it that way. I can be angry at times, or spiteful or unforgiving. I've been taken advantage of a lot from a lot of people. But I guess, I spoke to counselors. If you're on this world long enough, you're going to become one of three. You're either going to be the victim, the perpetrator, or the hero. So I've had my chance at all three throughout my life, and I'm pretty sure I'll end up being all three again at some point.
I guess my biggest question, from your life, from coming, of course, going to a Catholic school and going through that process all the way up to going to prison. Even in prison, what was your biggest spiritual warfare that you faced?
Spiritual warfare. Well, my biggest spiritual warfare. Just walking away from God. He was there the whole time. I would not be here if he was not there the whole time. And just losing my way and finding my way back was probably the hardest thing. Like, you don't know what you have till you don't have it anymore, right? I felt alone for a long time. My life has not become easier
right
since becoming a Christian.
Yeah.
But I don't feel alone. I don't feel condemned anymore. And I'm trying to pass along these values to my daughter, so that way she doesn't have to live the life that I lived, or have to wait until she's in her late 20s to accept Christ. Like, she's got an awesome heart. Like, I envy my kid.
I remember when I met her, she was so sweet.
Yeah.
The sweetest kid ever.
She's got a serving heart, man.
Yeah.
She helps out at Orphans Rock every Monday and Friday. She'd give you the shirt off her back. We were at the park the other day, and one of our neighbors had their granddaughters come down from New York, and they were all playing, and I let them play at the park for like 2 hours, just baking in that heat. And they found a $20 bill on the ground. I was like, oh, $20 bill. And my daughter, we taught her, because of the people putting fentanyl and stuff on that,
Yeah.
she knows not to just pick stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them saw it at the same time. And my daughter was trying to tell her weight, you know, like check and make sure there's nothing on it first. And the girl snatched it up. And we both got to see how both of them wanted that money. Like they were like, no, I found it. I'm like, well, all right. You know, I picked it up and I took it from them. I was like King Solomon. I was like, should I just tear it in half and you could each have? And they were like, no. So the grandmother actually had a couple tens. So they swapped it out and they gave each girl $10. Well, the girl's sister lost a ring that was given to her. I'm pretty sure it was costume jewelry. I wouldn't give a child expensive jewelry or heirlooms, but she lost it in the grass and she was so upset about it. And my daughter went up and gave her her $10 bill and said, here, go get an ice cream or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
It's a good character
like,
to have. It's a really strong character to have.
Yeah.
Being able to be like, oh, I lost something. Well, here's this back because I made that mistake, you know, like I'm giving you my sacrifice now. You're taking this because look what I did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a really good character to have. Like even me, I still suffer from that myself. You know, it's like for, you know, an 8-year-old girl to have that is just, it's like, dang, I wish I was like you at 8 years old, you know? This is powerful. And I was thinking of the statement of, you know, sometimes we go through things to prevent the next generation to go through what we went through, you know, and just me as a young age of what I've been through and what I've gone through. It's like, okay, I can use that and be like, well, I know what I want the next generation to not go through is the same thing that I went through to really avoid the constant mistake. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also, you know, I'm sure you're familiar with Marcus. We go to his Bible study and stuff. And he asked the question is, you know, because we go through the Bible, why is history important? Well, number one is to avoid the same mistakes.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And sometimes us as people, we have to go through those things. And it sucks. It's not fun. Like I'm not saying like it's fun because it's definitely not. It's awful. But sometimes we have to go through those things. And then when you find Christ, you're just like, okay, I want to do everything that I possibly can to avoid from that happening again.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do? You teach your kids, hey, don't do that. That's not right.
Right.
You know what I mean? God does the same thing for us. You know, just the way everything works. It's just all powerful. I love saying the word powerful because it truly is. You know, just because you follow Christ doesn't mean your life is going to get easier. That's not how that's going to work. It actually gets worse. It gets harder. Not to say worse in a bad way, but it just gets harder.
Well, the devil is coming after you now because
you
know, but he leaves you alone when you're living that hedonistic life.
He's just like, oh well, he's part of me now, so
I don't have to worry about him.
Yeah.
He's already, you know.
Yeah, that's all right, cool. He's doing what I want him to do, so that's fine. But now that you're following Christ, now he's really going to start testing you. I mean, what happened to Jesus? He was tested 40 days.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He was tested.
Mm-hmm.
But what did he do? Oh, he started saying the scripture, get away from me. You know, like, I don't want nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing we have to implement into our lives. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm reading Luke right now and I just came across, I'm like, okay, Jesus was tempted 40 days. The devil tempts me all the time. Instead of just giving into something, why don't I just read scripture? I just pray, you know, and we're human. We're going to fall into those fleshy desires. Not saying that you're not going to at times, but the biggest thing, what are you going to do to prevent that? Are you going to keep doing it? Are you going to give into those temptations and sin? Or are you you're going to correct yourself? Mm-hmm. You're going to work to avoid that mistake happen again. That's why history is important. You know, history, we could read history. We're doing history right now. This motion that I'm doing right now is history. Mm-hmm. Okay, what if I hit somebody in the face? What am I going to do to avoid doing that again? Not swing my hand out.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's history, you know, but man, it's just, it's hard, you know, like it really is. Faith with Christ is hard. You're tempted all the time. Like that's it.
I mean, I guess another spiritual, chemical imbalance in your brain makes you feel not like yourself. All right. I don't want to cast shade on my family, but I mean, it's facts. So I'm just telling the truth. Any drug that I've ever done or alcohol, my parents gave it to me first. Wow. So my sense of right and wrong is a little askew, just say the least. I have no excuse at this point because I'm a 39-year-old man. So, you know right from wrong.
Yeah.
But growing up, like I'm at a Grateful Dead tailgate parties with my mom and dad. I'm 6 years old.
Wow.
I got to go see Pink Floyd the last time they played at the Veterans Stadium in Philly.
Wow.
Back in, what was it, 94? I smoked my first joint. So, I mean, the ADHD is a hard thing to deal with. And then you just don't want to, I don't know how to explain it. You don't want to feel the way that you feel. You kind of just want to be off kilter a little bit, just so you don't feel normal. And I would say substance abuse is probably, other than the fact that I lost my way from God, I feel like substance abuse is what has drugged me down most of my life.
In a sense, it's a form of worship. You're worshiping something.
Oh, absolutely.
You're worshiping something besides the Almighty.
Absolutely.
That's how I look at substance abuse. It's like, it's abuse. It is. It really is abuse, but it's also you're worshiping that thing that's filling that hole in your heart.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because if I read the Bible as much as I thought about how much I want to go do something, you wouldn't have the problems that you're having probably. So
absolutely. No, absolutely. It's like, oh, I could, no, I'm gonna do this, like
it temporarily feel good.
Yeah.
It's a temporary solution to a problem that I've had for like ever.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to find something else.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just a God-shaped hole in me that I'm trying to fill with substances. I don't know. I don't want to be a slave to anything.
Right.
I want to be able to, I don't want my daughter to ever say, you know what, my dad drank a lot. He was a drunk, or he was an alcoholic, or he was abusive, or he wasn't present. If I'm not present now, it's because I'm at work. I work a lot. I guess I find some of my identity in what I do. And I know that's not exactly healthy because my identity should be in Christ. But he gave me a certain set of gifts and skills because of my upbringing, and just, you could have me around millionaires, homeless people, black, white, candy stripe. I don't care who you are. I meet people where they're at in life. Like, I'm just as comfortable sitting down on a park bench talking to the needy as I am going into the office and talking to millionaires. We can find common ground, I'm grateful that he gave me those gifts, because I know a lot of people get nervous. They don't want. It's like the end of church. I am an extrovert, but I'm an introvert. I'm an introverted extrovert, or an extroverted introvert. I don't know which way it goes.
Some of those ways.
I can be on, but it's draining.
Yeah.
Okay. By the end of the day, after I'm done work, I'm like, man, I'm so tired. Like, I just need to recharge, and I kind of want to be alone. But you still have to be a husband and a father. But I love my job. I get to help people out all day long. I work for a great company. I wouldn't say roofing is my passion, but it gives me the ability to do something new every day, meet new people, create new relationships. I pray with my customers if they're open to it, because I care more about them than just their roofs. I have a customer that, I took me a year to get her approved. Her insurance company was fighting. We got it approved. And then she had the check. She called me up and said, hey, I'm in the hospital right now. I'm going to be in here for a couple of days, but, I should be out. Okay. Give me a call when you get out. It's no rush. I mean, we've been waiting a year so far. So a couple of days ain't going to bother it. And then her brother-in-law gives me a call like maybe a week later. I was like, hey, you're Edward. You're working on Valerie's roof, right? And I said, yeah. He's like, okay, well, I've got the check for you. And I need to meet with you. I said, okay. I was like, well, how's Valerie doing? And he was like, well, I was like, she didn't tell me what was going on, but she just told me that she was going to be in the hospital. He's like, she's got stage 4 colon cancer. So I went out, it was like 2 Saturdays ago, met with her, brought her a plant because I know she loves her, garden and everything. Had an okay conversation, got everything ready, and 2.5 hours later, she passed away.
No way.
Yeah. So, and her brother-in-law called me and told me, it's like, her last wish was to have this roof done. Let's get this thing done. I was like, oh,
I need this roof done before I go.
So we're gonna be doing it, but like, I grew attached to her. And I didn't need to, not for my job anyway. But it's just how I find a sense of value in what I do. Because again, it's not much to be passionate about roofing. Put on a good roof.
Yeah.
Move on to the next one.
Yeah.
But everything in between, I have a passion for.
And I feel like this job that you have gives you that opportunity to be able to reach out to people's hearts. Instead of looking at somebody's like, you're just another sort of human. I'm just doing this to get money. You're using this source to be like, you know what? I want to talk about God. I want to talk about God with you. I want to pray with you. And that alone is what makes the job enjoyable. It's like, oh, I can go up to you. I just got done doing your roof. I can go up to you and be like, actually, I can do your roof right now, but I just want to talk about Jesus. You ever heard about Jesus? Like, are you able to pray with me? And that right there alone brings so much life to what you do. Mm-hmm. And that's impactful. I really respect that. That's huge, because you don't come across people like that. You don't come across people who bring something that does passion them, into the workplace.
I haven't had too many people. Well, we are in the Bible Belt, though. Too many people say, "No, I'm good on that prayer stuff,"
which is fine.
So, which is,
you come across those are like, "No, I'm good," and then you have a few people like, "Okay, you're gonna have your hit and misses. Not everybody's gonna approve of it, which is fine. We don't expect to. We're not gonna force feed you. Like, oh no, you're gonna pray with me. That's not how that works. No. Not how that works, man. No. Not how that works.
You end up turning them off.
Yeah."
Even more.
Yeah, it's like you take that person, they're already kind of contemplating it, and then they say no, and then you just keep pushing, and they're just like, yeah, see, I knew this is what this was going to be like, so I'm good. Mm-hmm. And then what do? Like, you just completely turn that person away from getting salvation.
Right.
That's a hard thing to live with. I think that's a really hard thing to live with. Like, man, I could have really helped lead them to salvation, and what did I do? Just drive them away from it. Mm-hmm. That hurts. That hurts just thinking about that. Yeah, man. I'm trying to think of the way I can ask this question. So while you were in jail, I know I'm bringing you back to the hard times.
Oh, you're good.
But while you were in jail, have you ever connected with people, somebody who really said something to you that stood out, any scripture that really stood out to you, specifically besides Psalms 34? What is the biggest thing that stood out to you while searching or getting back onto that road to salvation?
So before I ended up landing back at Christianity, I was reading, well, not the Torah, because I can't read Hebrew, but I was studying Judaism. I was studying Islam. I was just trying to figure out because again, I believed in God. So I was just like, but everybody says that they have a God and that their God is right. So I got to figure out for myself where I fit in. And, I'm grateful that I have that great counselor. Like, when the time comes, I don't have to worry about having another public pretender that gets me 5 years.
Yeah.
I've got the ultimate counselor that's going to stand before God and say, no, I paid for that. He's good. I what would scare me the most is to hear the words "Depart from me, for I never knew you."
That's a scary saying to hear, actually.
You know, that would scare me. But I mean, you got Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. That stands out. I don't see the big picture and the plans that I had for my life. I mean, if I would have gotten them, I mean, where would I be right now? God put me through what He needed to put me through to make me the man I am today. So, would I change anything, knowing what I know now? No, I would have. Don't get me wrong. That was not a fun 5 years.
No.
That was not.
I'm sure it's awful. People are like, oh, 5 years, nothing.
But I mean, my plans were to go overseas in the Marines and be a army of one. I was gonna go out over there and take out as many bad guys as I could before they took me out. I had no intention on coming home. So that gets into a whole nother story of blaming myself for a friend's death. So it's just started me down that slow death of substance abuse and everything else, because I didn't have the fortitude to just take my own life in a way that would do it quickly like that. So I just figured one of these times I'm gonna take something, and that's gonna be the last time, and I'm not even gonna know. So I'm thankful that didn't happen. I owe my wife so much. She's an amazing woman. She has put up with me for over 10 years now. And she saved my life July 17th, 2017. I found out pretty much all of my childhood friends are gone. They're all dead. Either fentanyl, suicide, you name it. I've got a few people on Facebook that I'm acquainted with, that I grew up with, but my tight group of friends, like my circle, I think I'm the only one left. There isn't. I don't know. Wow. I found out one of my friends died. He hung himself, and I was on probation at this point because I got in trouble. I like science, right? And I had a friend who was a teacher. And he's like, I know you love science. I'm going to have you come in and teach a science lesson to these kids. I was like, cool. So he's like, work on a couple things that you think the kids might like. Okay, cool. So 2016, just before the Pope goes to Philly, right? I'm using soda bottles with baking soda and vinegar and capping them so they pop. Yeah. You know, and I was talking about it at work to somebody. And there was a busboy walking back and forth. So he didn't hear the whole conversation. He only heard bits and pieces of what was being said. And he went and called the police and said that I was making explosives in my house. So, you know, I'm a felon. So they get a call about a felon making explosives at his house. The Pope is coming to town. So I had my door kicked in. It was like Sesame Street. They brought out the whole alphabet: FBI, Homeland Security, you name it. They were talking about Homeland Security wants to talk to you. I'm like, yo, I'm not going to Gitmo. I'm not going to Guantanamo Bay, bro. Like, what are you talking about? No. So they ended up. They never tested the bottles. They didn't do their job. They kicked in my door prematurely because I was a felon. And that was it. The feds, Homeland Security, and everybody else were really ticked off at the Philadelphia Police Department for not doing their homework before they called them out. They wasted a lot of manpower.
Yeah. Homeland Security, FBI, and all that.
But because they did that, there was no way that they were going to drop all the charges, even after finding out that they came out here for something stupid. Because if they did that, I'm going to sue them for destroying my house and all the rest of that stuff. So they left the charges on there, and they gave me a disorderly conduct And because of my record, I had to do 2 years on probation.
What? Oh, dude,
Yeah.
that's awful.
So and when you're getting 2 years in probation in the Commonwealth, 2-year probation sentence will turn into a 20-year county bid because they violate you for everything. And then when you go into jail for 3 to 6 months. And then when they let you out, they start your probation counter back at 0. So people can't seem to stay out of trouble long enough to get off 2 years probation. They end up doing, if you add up all their time over 20 years, it's like a 20-year county bid. So I made it off probation without incident, except for one time, the one thing. You know, my friend found out he was dead. So I had called I've got problems with my spine. I've got discs that are jacked up, so I deal with physical pain. So obviously opiates are a problem for me. And I called the guy that I used to get stuff from, and I was like, hey, do you have any Percocets? He said, no, I don't have any Percocets, but I do have some dope. So I tried a bag of this dope. I was supposed to go and pick up my wife and child. She was at work, and I sniffed half a bag. I've never shot anything, but I sniffed half a bag of this stuff, and it was the carfentanil stuff that was making people drop like flies back in 2017. I would just remember looking at the clock and then dropping to my knees and then falling face down on the ground. I was like that for must have been about an hour. My wife, because I did not pick her up, had to go and get an Uber, and the Uber driver's name was Angel. Okay, she got my wife to my house in time. The front door was locked because I had locked it. Luckily, I had a hatchet in my car in the trunk.
Yeah.
And my wife chopped down the front door to get to me. And when she got in there, she rolled me over. She said I looked like a Smurf. I was all blue. It was like 20 minutes of chest compressions, a bunch of Narcan, like 4 doses of it. Like, I was done. Cop got angry because I guess this was his first overdose that he was dealing with, and like hammer fisted me right in the chest. And I was brought me back. So it's been a struggle. I substance abuse has definitely been my biggest downfall in life. It turned me into a liar. It turned me into a thief. It had turned me into a lot of things that I'm not proud of. And it's still something that I deal with every single day. Like, and I'm trying not to have an attitude of, if you question me, my wife has every right to ask me every single day, did you do anything today? Did you take anything? I mean, because of what I've done in my past. I mean, it makes sense. But when you're not doing something and you keep constantly getting asked, you know, you're like, well, if I'm paying for it, I might as well do it. You know, that's not the right attitude.
No, definitely not.
It's not.
Definitely not.
It's definitely not. But that's my human nature. That's my sinful nature. There's nothing good that is in me that, you know, Paul said it best, you know, for I know what I want to do, but I can't do the right thing. Like, so aside from Christ, there's nothing good that's in me. So, you know, I pray that my brothers and my sister find Christ. My mom, anytime I bring it up to her, that's a no-go topic. She blames God because I love my great-grandmother. She was an amazing woman, but God did not make her smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day until she got emphysema and ended up dying from that, you know? So you can't blame God for that, Mom. Sorry. Nanny believed in God, so, and Jesus. So you want to be with her. You want to see her again. I'm hoping, you know, that you have a change of heart somewhere. And soon, because we don't know when that ticket's going to get punched, you know? Talking to a woman and she dies 2.5 hours later. luckily I know Valerie she's a child of God, so we'll see each other again someday.
Right. That's so good.
I don't like to be that guy that says when people die, oh, well, he's in a better place.
I don't really know.
Maybe.
I don't really know that.
Maybe.
I don't really know that.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully he's on the right side of things. Because if he's not, then I don't know. I don't want to find out.
Yeah, I can't say. I can't say. I know where I want to be, but I can't say for everybody else. Can't say for everybody else.
I just want to join the choir of angels, sing.
Yeah, to
sing to the Lord, man.
Yeah, I noticed you were singing Sunday.
Yeah.
I see you up there. I'm like, oh, look at this guy. I know this guy.
I've always loved to sing.
Yeah.
I was always in chorus and choir growing up, and I feel like music kind of gets me through my day. Gets me through. If I didn't have the radio, I'd listen. They'd play it for me. I swear, it's like they were playing it for me specifically. While I was in there, they played Kirk Franklin, "I Smile," and it was on every day. And I was just like, "All right." The lyrics, "I smile even though I hurt. See, I smile even though I've been here for a while. I smile." Because it's so hard to look up when you've been down. Sure would hate to see you give up now. So, I'm doing better than I deserve. Definitely better than I deserve. And I pray that I'm living an honorable life towards God. Again, there's small things that I need to work on. That's everybody.
So. It's everybody, every single day.
Yeah, Brooks said it. This past Sunday? He's like, "Oh yeah, just baptize myself."
I just baptized myself in this lake right over here. I sinned again, so I was like, "Nah, I need to get re-saved."
He's like, "I've been saved at least 20 times." No, committing your life to Christ is a once in a lifetime thing. But dying to self and living the life that Christ requires is a daily commitment. So, I find that some days are better than others. Like, dang, I missed the mark today. Like, I could have definitely handled myself a little better today than I did. So I guess the type of stuff you think about before you go to bed.
I like to, when I pray, like everybody says a lot, honesty is the best policy, especially in prayer. Honestly, there's times like before, my very early stages of getting saved. And mind you, I've only been saved for about a year and a half. So first early stages of getting saved, I'm over here praying like very formally and like, okay, like I gotta say this thing so he can hear me and understand what I'm saying. And over time, I learned to just be honest. Like, God, like I sold myself short today. I wasn't as dedicated as I was yesterday, or I wasn't doing as well as I was last week with you, and that's my fault. I'm so sorry that I did this. I love you with all my heart. My heart. It's just, I'm sorry that I failed to keep my faith strong. And it's just, when I pray like that, those honestly are probably the most in the moment answered prayers. Like, I hear you. Because you're being honest. He knows that already. He already knows everything that you just said. He just wants you to say them.
All right.
You can sit here and think about it in your head till you're blue in the face. Like, oh man, okay, like I know the Lord is going to forgive me. But you don't go to Him and that time, that conversation with Him to sit there and like be honest with Him, be open, because He's there. He's listening to you, and that's the biggest thing. Like if you sell yourself short, if I sell myself short. Be honest. Like I sold myself short today. That was me the other day. I didn't pray in the morning. I didn't read the Bible one day. And my day was pretty rough. I was condemned probably the entire day. I just was not feeling it. I was angry. I was, it was affecting everything. With everything from everybody around me. I think that was actually Sunday. Like there was like 2 Sundays ago. Okay. After service, I was just really first, it was conviction because I've sinned the day before and I was just dealing with that. But it turned into condemnation because then I was just like, you're stupid, you know, like all this stuff. And
That's
like,
the devil.
and that's the devil, you know, that's straight condemnation, you know? So like, I'm feeling the altar calling me, but what do? I just sit there and be like, nah, I'm good. Like very pridefully too. Like, nah, I'm going through what I'm going through right now. I don't even want to do that. And a lot of things are going through my mind. So after service ends, I just leave. I don't tell. I was with Jeremiah. I was sitting with all of them. He's in the back, by the way. I didn't tell him. I didn't tell, you know, Alicia. You met Alicia. Didn't tell any of them. I literally, as soon as service ended, everybody started leaving. I left. I was gone. Everybody's like, well, where'd you go? Like, where are you at? People calling me, people texting me, and I'm just in the car on my phone, just like, whatever. I'm just going to be in my own space. I'll be all right. You know, I'll be okay. Didn't pray, didn't do none of that, right? Goes on to the later of the day. Still didn't do anything. I'm laying in bed, and it was just chomping at me. And I was just like, okay. I'm having a serious talk with somebody on the phone. And I end up, before I continue the conversation, before I fell asleep, really, I just straight up just like, okay, let me pray. And I actually put my pride aside, and I just went to the Lord. And I'm like, Lord, I'm so sorry. I let myself down. Not even you, because you've seen this already. You've seen this coming before I even did it. But I sold myself short. I didn't pray today. I didn't read your word. You know, even when I was going through a hard time at church today, I ignored that. The altar call that I was feeling, you pulling me there, I ignored that. And that I did that pridefully, and I'm so sorry that I did that. You know, that's where honesty set in. And I've been honest for, you know, over time too, but it's sometimes I fail, you know, like I sell myself short a lot. Like, oh, okay, I could be really honest, but I'm also really tired, so I just want to go to bed. And I feel like I suffer with that a lot. When I'm tired, I don't want to put the effort into actually like being honest and open, you know. And sometimes I don't have much to say. Sometimes I don't have much to say, and that's all right. You know, sometimes I just sit there quietly, and I was just like, just forgive me, Lord, and that's it. And I have prayers like that where it's literally just that and amen, and that's it, because I don't have nothing to say.
Right.
But honesty is the biggest thing, man. And that's something I learned that day. It was like. And after, I'm telling you, after I said amen, everything changed. And I felt so good going to bed. I was like, all right, now we kicking. Now we rocking here. This is where I want to be. Yeah. You know? And then the next morning, I felt amazing. Dude. It was great.
Yeah. Lately, we've been getting up at like 5:15 in the morning. And we got the YouVersion Bibles. My wife, she goes off to her side and does her thing. I try to do mine, get through mine. I'm not trying to get through it, but you know, I got to get up early, and then I got to go, you know, because of my job. But I find that the days that we start off meditating on the word, reading the word, it prepares the heart and the mind to combat all the stuff that we're going to have to go through for the day. And it's so funny that some of the scriptures that pop up there that are, it's like, how'd you know? It's like,
get out of my head.
I'm gonna have to put this phone in a Faraday bag. That way you can't listen to my conversations. Like, how you know I'm going through that right now? Like, it's weird. But yeah, I'm just grateful to be a child of God.
It's truly a blessing.
I mean, where would I be otherwise?
And what God is doing in your life is it's remarkable. Truly.
Well, he's still renovating me. He's still moving the furniture around on the inside, but I believe night and day difference between having God in my life and not
having God. Yeah, been there. I've been there. I've really been there. At a young age, I've been there.
I don't think I'd like to see 39-year-old Ed without Christ in his life. I don't even know if
you'd
be here.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
dude.
Seriously.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, if you guys like the video, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. You know what to do. Yeah. So peace out, guys.